So I'm just going to do a little prayer. Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Thine is kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. God, grant the serenity to keep this program, this whole thing nice, safe, and clear. Thank you. Okay. So here we are. This is the Unveiling Mystery Show, and I am your host, Mercedes Lucke-Benedict. And I have an amazing gentleman on our show. His name is Brent Thomas, and he is, I'm calling you the Commander-in-Chief of the Paranormal Portal. You like that?
Sure. Yeah, I'm the creator and host of it. Yeah, that works. Commander-in-Chief is good.
Well, you know, our mutual friend Kev Baker, they called him the captain, and I'm like, well, I can't call you the captain, but I'm going to call you the Commander-in-Chief, as that's like even cooler, you know. So while we're here together, I wanted to just tell you something, and I'll tell everyone that's going to listen. I just feel, Brent, it was just an honor to have met you, and to have gotten to be on your show. And I feel like is like this in sync feeling of somehow it was like, for me, put together, within the spirits or something, because I just feel like a kindred spirit. We've talked about this before. So I just wanted you to know that. And I'm a major fan of your show.
Oh, thank you.
And you're welcome. And I wanted to see if you could tell us a little bit about the Paranormal Portal and how did it begin for you? I know we were talking just a few minutes ago, but could you share that with everyone? How did this begin for you, the Paranormal Portal?
So, there was not like one catalyzing event that's like, oh my gosh, I should start a show. It was kind of the culmination of a lifetime of being interested in the paranormal and, being fascinated with it. It's from a very, very young age. I just always thought the concepts of being in a world of spirits and wonder and, things happening that weren't readily explainable. One of the taglines for my show when I first started it was I wrote a little snippet, and it's like, in our hubris, we think that the world is contained and controlled and it's labeled and categorized and it's neatly on a shelf. But then this stuff happens, this weird other things that happen that don't fit into the paradigm. And those are the things that I love, because I love that the world still has magic and mystery in it, and there's still discovery just waiting for us. And I think the paranormal isn't just where things go sideways and end up all, reality just had a weird glitch. A lot of people call them glitches in the matrix, so to speak, but I don't think it is. I think the paranormal events are absolutely profound demonstrations of the fluid nature of the reality that we live in, that they're certainly unusual and they are anomalies to our standard thinking, but perhaps they're demonstrations of what we have yet to learn. And I love that. I think that, there is such a realm of possibility. And so in my lifetime, I was always pursuing stories, literature, videos, all kinds of information, just to understand or try to understand what this paranormal stuff was. And it's always been a fascination. And I didn't have any experiences as a real young child until, my first experiences when I was 14. And we can certainly go through my experiences, at least there's so many hundreds of them, but there's some really huge ones that I think are really profound and amazing. But I kind of led this weird life. Like, I'd have friendships with people that from a very, very young age, they knew this was what their life was going to be. And by golly, they would do it. It would just like, I'm going to be this. One friend wanted to be a priest, and it was his life goal since he was a young child. And he was like the youngest lay reader in Minnesota, where I'm from, ever. And then he went up the list of achievements went off to a seminary in New York City, and he's a priest. An Episcopalian, I guess, is not necessarily a priest in the Catholic terms, but it's very similar. But I was always
Right.
really jealous of that because I was like, what am I supposed to do? How come he knows and how come I don't? What's wrong with me? And so through my life, I'd done so many different jobs. God, I worked in corrections for a number of years. I worked in the colleges and universities system as an IT person. I taught in a school, computer classes, in a high school level. And all of these things. I worked retail, I worked factories, I worked installations, just anything and everything. And I was like, why don't I know what to do? And it wasn't until I was working in advertising that I met a gentleman by the name of Chris Gio, he was like a contractor to the company I worked for. I did marketing, and he did a lot of the IT stuff. And he also owned and ran and runs Truth Frequency Radio Network. And
oh, that's right. I knew that name, the Geo.
Yeah. So suddenly he and I are talking, and it just was like this. It's really weird because the whole idea almost came preformed, like it was just given to me. It's like, I want to do this show, and it's going to, and just suddenly the name was there, Paranormal Portal, and I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. He goes, cool, let's make it happen. And so I started back in, I think it was April of 2016, I started the Paranormal Portal on TFR, Truth Frequency Radio, and just from there, it's just grown. I decided to, he had also, with his show Beyond the Veil, had decided to do some YouTubing as well. And he's like, you should do that. I'm like, okay, well, I'll do that. So I started YouTubing as well as broadcasting on TFR. And then the podcast came along since 2018 or 19, when Wes Germer of Sasquatch Chronicles happened to catch my show on YouTube. And he's like, why isn't this a podcast? And I'm like, I don't know. Okay, it can be a podcast. And so he helped me. So it was just this culmination of such incredible people coming together and just being there at the right time when this idea formed. So suddenly I've got a TFR show that's also a YouTube show, and then I also have a podcast, and it's just really kind of blown up in a sense. Now the Paranormal Portal has never grown by explosive measures, but we've really been blessed with this amazing group of people that have found the shows and love the shows. And much like yourself, I mean, you've been an incredible supporter in the time that you've been involved in it, and it's been really amazing. And so that was the journey. I mean, I didn't know throughout my life what I wanted to do, but then it came. And once it came, it was like all these doors just opened, and this incredible serendipity of events that created the opportunity for me to do it. So I'd love to say that I knew from a very young age I was going to be a guy doing a show, but it never crossed my mind until just suddenly it did. And there it was.
That's so amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is just amazing, Brent. And then it's just like it was, like you said, serendipity. It just fell into place.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think that, like, we have to, it's like there's a time in our lives where it's that point, we have all these things that lead up to something.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot about my life, just from what I've told you, but it's kind of like, all of a sudden when I met, Bill Bean and Kev Baker and them on that show, and all it took was watching the Kev Baker show, I think once or twice. I'm like, wait, I could do that again, because that's what I had done. But it was like Kev and the TFR was like, ding, light bulb. And then it all flashed to me. It also, it's just interesting that you said that. This is my first time to hear that part of it.
Oh yeah.
And so, okay, so this is one of the questions that I absolutely would love to know. You, to me, are just a kind heart, and genuinely, I mean, I know we all have our, we may not be the kindest all the time to everybody, but, I know from being able to tell. And so what I love is, how did you decide, or did you just decide, or what, to create a show where you really brought people in like a family, instead of creating a show that was more business or more about, just sticking with sci-fi or paranormal, but you actually bring and intertwine like a family of kind love, like you love people.
Yeah.
Is that just a natural part of you? Did
Yeah,
you think about that?
I never knew when I was starting to do the show who would show up, or if anyone would, I mean, but it was, I think part of that comes from, I mean, I love doing the show because I'm genuinely passionate about the subject. So it's not just me. It was never me just going, well, what subject might people want to watch? Oh, people are interested in this. Maybe I'll do that. It was just the only show that I could do with that level of what I hope to be genuine, because it is genuine from me. It's a genuine interest. So I just love
Yeah.
doing the shows. I love having the discussions. I love thinking about this stuff. And I wish I could take credit for the people that ended up showing up and stuff. But, they found me. I never advertised the show. Only very, very recently did I finally decide, well, I'm going to throw out an ad on YouTube just to see. And
Wow.
by then I was already, over 10,000 subs. But I just thought, I want to see if what that would bring in. But everybody that's been involved in the community surrounding the show, they created that. I can't take any credit for that. They found the show, and they found each other, and they have this real neat family of I mean, it's like Cheers in a lot of ways, like, darn, hey Norm, it's like all the people that are there every time I do a show, and they have this close knit family vibe. And again, I can't take any credit for that. That's just these amazing people that have found the show and have decided to be a part of it, and they created their own part in the chat. Like the YouTube show, I mean, I have one of the parts that's different is that through the podcast, I don't have the opportunity to interact with the audience. It's an audio podcast that I pre-record and put out there. But the live shows really give you a chance to engage with those people that are there. And, they came, they asked the questions, they have this family, and it's just really amazing. I would love to take credit for that, but I appreciate all the kind remarks that you make. I do sincerely, love that group of people, and that, no, I love all people, but, I wish I was that person all the time, but I'm human. But they are just this incredible group of people that decided that they wanted to be, a part of it. And I couldn't be more honored and more appreciative of that, because they are incredible people, yourself included. I mean, you're just another amazing part of this group of people that came forward and and have been involved in it. They've been it's very grassroots. Like these people are spreading the word. They're telling people and bringing more people into the experience. So it's just another part of that amazing serendipity that's formed the Paranormal Portal.
I love that. And I think that when I tune into the paranormal, just right from Paranormal Portal, just right from the get-go, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And then all of a sudden, when you go into like, okay, are we ready for the news and the paranormal, and then all of a sudden, you hear it. It's almost like you psych up, your body psychs up and gets ready to go into this. It's like you take us into that reality of it's like you have a way of taking the audience into the realities that you are calling them, the news and just the different things. Is that just a natural thing that you also decided to do? Because it's very smooth and it feels really natural.
I appreciate you saying that. Again, it's the only thing that I do in preparation for every show, and this came by experience. I learned this over time, is that you do have like I'm when I'm in my own druthers and stuff, and I'm doing my own thing. I'm very quiet. I don't it's not like I won't engage people. I'm always trying to be friendly to anybody I ever meet, because I think all people have, this wonderful light in them. But before I do the shows, I learned over time that the audience will respond to the energy you give them. And so before every show, I'm just like, I'm sitting here drumming on the desk. I'm just like, come on, it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show. And I have this routine that I build up my excitement and energy, because that's what I want to give people and let them know how happy I am that they're there, that they're a part of it. And I want them to feel like they're a part of it, not just sitting back watching something happen, but to be involved with it. So it is an intent of mine, but again, I guess on the shows, I'm probably more energetic doing the shows than I am in real life, just because I don't know, I'm a Taurus, so we're kind of reserved, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really thrilled with your incredibly kind words, because of course, anybody doing a show, we want to create an experience for people, and I'm really thrilled to hear that that's what you guys are getting. It's
Yeah.
and again, did I plan that? No. The only thing I planned was to make sure that my energy level was excited no matter what's going on in my personal life. And I have the hills and valleys like everybody, but once I turn on the camera, I've got to be giving out this as much energy as I can, because if these people are going to come and watch that, they deserve that from me. I want them to feel
Yeah.
like I'm thrilled they're there, and because I sincerely am. So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's kind of
Oh, yeah.
my ideas.
And so you were never, you didn't do, because see, my background's theater and music and plays, shows since I was little.
Yeah.
So, but you were not, you kind of just started just this right away, just,
I've been
with advertising.
Yeah.
Well, you're a musician though.
Well, I don't know.
You are a performer.
I don't know if I'm a musician. I'm mostly a hack, but I love music. And to me, music has always been my most sincere form of therapy. Like whatever I'm feeling, and usually I just maybe it's not good, but this is the truth, is that when I'm having hard times, I don't let everybody else deal with that, because I don't think that that's fair, that I take all my frustration and just lash out at whoever happens to be near me. So I always just keep it inside, but I let it out in the songs. I let it out in the songs that I write, or channel that energy into the notes or whatever. And I again, that was, so here's a little side note about the music. Now, on the YouTube and on the podcast, I never did that as an ego thing. I never put out my music as an ego thing. What had happened was I used to open my shows with songs that I loved, like some really cool vibe songs, or maybe Judas Priest, or just something like that. Just some really that pumped me up, because I wanted that energy built. But then I found out about YouTube doesn't like that much. And I started getting these these tags like, oh, you can't, we had to remove that video, or it was back then, it was, more like you got kind of a the ruler on the back of the hand, don't do that. So I'm like, oh, I can't use that music. So what do I do? Well, I could go out and hunt and try to find something decent that didn't require a copyright, that it was just out free to the public. But I decided, well, I know I can use my music. I've written this music for years, and I had a bunch of them recorded. So I'm like, I know I can use that, because that's mine. And so that was the reason that I ever started using my music on the portal, was because I knew that was the music that I could use. And I knew that I felt like the energy was good enough to at least work with the shows. I didn't know how people would receive that. I was in a band, and and every once in a while we were a cover band, so we'd do cover songs. But I would slide in my own music in those shows, and people received it pretty well. So I was like, okay, well, I can try that for my show, because I know I can use it. And so I did, and it started. People like, oh, what's that song? What is that song? It's like, oh, that was me. Yeah, or else I would get other people going, hey, is that you singing? Because it sounds like you. And I'm like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't ever an ego play, but it was just what was available to me, and I've just been really thrilled with how well people received it, because most of the time when you write music, you're in your bubble, you're in your own little microcosm, and so unless you put it out there, you don't really know what people think. And so I had no choice but to put it out there. But I've been really fortunate that people have received that pretty well. And I again, I'm not. I would love to say that I'm a musician, but most of the time, outside of the major chords, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So
No, I love your music, and there's every time it gets to that. Well, you do the sound effects too, right? Like with all of the, you do the whole thing, right?
oh
From
yeah,
the all of that.
yeah. I got
Yeah, just
buttons over here that have things on it, like yeah.
yeah. But like in your songs, as you kind of go through the instrumental music,
Sure, yeah.
that's yours, right? And you've got all the scary sounds, but you got the one you're using from Poltergeist. I love that. That's like freaks me out. It's like the best voices. But one of your songs where you really are wailing in that one song, and you're really singing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a great song. I love it. I love that song.
A lot of the songs.
What's the name of that? What is the name of that song?
That's called Emotional Buffet, and it was it was about basically the premise was, after being toyed with and in a couple of broken relationships and just negative experiences like that, I was like, and so I wrote this song called Emotional Buffet, and it's, basically, I am finished with my silence. I'm not a stupid toy. No more baiting me with kindness and dancing on my joy. And I did actually, after many requests, put it out on Bandcamp. There's a site called Bandcamp. So if you go to BrentThomas.bandcamp.com, you'll find the songs that I've made available for people to download. And it's like $1 each. So I don't get tons of downloads, maybe, a couple downloads a week or something, but it's just kind of fun that people want to actually have that,
Yeah, exactly. And I've heard about Bandcamp. I haven't even thought about Bandcamp because I decided to put them out on like my songs on Amazon or all those different ones that we have. But I think Bandcamp might be cool. And I'll look your other songs up because I want to hear them.
Oh,
I didn't know that. Yeah, it's really, 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 really great. So that's what I mean about you have that. It's a showmanship. You've got that through your. It's a way of. It's like an energy to direct you to know. Like it's almost like a spiritual intuitiveness too. I think that guides you. Do you feel as if Do you feel as if a lot of this is a guidance from angels and God, and that puts you on this path?
Again, getting back to how it all started and how once I'd found that path, everything just unfolded. And so I would say, it was definitely me finding my place finally after a lifetime of not knowing where I fit in, where did I belong in all of this. And, again, seeing so many people around me like, oh, they went to college, they got the job they wanted, and they have that career now. And I always felt really lost and uncertain throughout my life, because it's like, well, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? And so again, once the idea came, it was like, and again, it came pretty self-formed. Like it just came with a name. It was like, and I want to call it Paranormal Portal. I was like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
And it was there, and it just all unfolded in a really incredible way. So, but yeah, it's definitely, I think that we all are guided. It's just, I think the problem is that, and this I think is inherent with a lot of faiths, is that there's an implication of being guided, but there's not always a clear instructions of how to let that guidance happen. And so, there's our ego usually takes over and makes it really hard for us to find the guidance that's coming to us. And maybe that
Yeah.
was my problem for so many years. Maybe I was just, too full of my own ego and didn't quiet things down enough to hear the voices that were yelling at me, no, do this. So
I think so. I think that's a big part of it, is when we get through that, thinking that, well, this is a good question. So I feel that that's what happened with me, especially after the accidents happened, and it changed my life. But you didn't have an accident or anything, but what do you think, or you might have, but what do you think caused you to quiet down? What happened?
I don't know if any one thing happened, but I think in my case, in all sincerity, I think it was, I needed to be ready for it, that kind of thing. Like, I think our lives are a journey. They're a pathway, and there's so many things to build us to a point. I think that always the divine mind or God or whatever you want to call it wants nothing but wonder and beauty for us, but we got to get there. We got to get through our stuff to get to the part where things make sense and where it all falls together. And then you start to realize that the journey was meant to build you to a point to accept the blessings. And so I think that oftentimes we get stuck in our own frustrations, and we get stuck in our own ego and behaviors, and we forget that we're on a journey. We're never quite there. And so maybe this all took me so long because it took me a long time to get to the point where I was ready for it. Maybe it was just that there were other parts of my life that needed to happen first, and they take time. I don't know. And only the mind of God knows that. But I can only presume that that was when I was ready, and so I guess I was or deserving or whatever.
Yeah, that's so well said. I love that. I really. I wanted to talk about, before we end our interview or our conversation, is you have some upcoming pretty cool things coming up in the future. Would you share with us what that is?
We're going to be at the Phenomicon it's a conference in Vernal, Utah, from the 8th through the 11th, and it's going to be a great time. There's going to be some pretty awesome people there as presenters. We're just there as a podcast and show, so I'm not presenting or anything like that, but we'll be there. We'll have a booth at Phenomicon, and I'm really excited about it. Of course, there's lots of amazing people will be there. Dr. Jeff Meldrum, who's very well known in the Bigfoot and cryptid communities for his work on he's a physical anthropologist and has done a lot of studying of trackways and castings of tracks and stuff. And he's going to be there presenting. Russell Accord, Bryce, and Dr. Maria Mayer, all from Expedition Bigfoot, will be there, as will Jim Vieira is going to be there. And he does the show with the History Channel, looking for evidence of giants, and just a fascinating guy and a fascinating show. And he'll be there. I've never met him, but also Bob Gimlin will be there. And Bob Gimlin is, of course, kind of the godfather of the Bigfoot movement in that he is one of the two people that were there during the filming of the Bluff Creek incident in 1967 in Bluff Creek, California. So he will be up there.
Wow.
And he's just an amazing guy. I interviewed him and played that on the podcast. And what a phenomenal guy. I mean, just the most sincere, genuine person you want to meet. He's an old cowboy, and he's just what you might expect. He just, he's just happy to talk and to meet people just one of those real rare souls. So I feel real honored to have had a chance to get to know Bob, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again in Vernal, Utah. So if you're not busy, if you're in the area in Vernal, Utah on September 8th through the 11th, or if you can be there, definitely stop in, and it'd be great to meet you. So we'll be there.
Yeah, that would be so fun. That sounds like, and it's be fun because it's all with everyone that's, involved in that. One thing I wonder is what would happen if somebody actually caught one of these? I hope they'd be nice to it and not be like the King Kong thing.
That's kind of actually sincerely one of my big fears is that they are substantiated, they are proven, because I really believe that by virtue of them being proven, it will cause nothing but problems for however many of them there are out there. Because can you imagine the amount of people that will be suddenly wanting to go out to the wildlands to find one for themselves, and suddenly there will be people traipsing through the forests and probably pushing them out of habitat that they may have been using for thousands of years. And we as humans have a tendency to destroy what we love, and so I think about the saddest thing I could think of is to, ever go to a zoo and there's an exhibit with Bigfoot in it, because I think that would just be a heartbreaker. Whatever
Oh,
these beings are, they're intelligent. They are human-like in so many ways, and to objectify them or expose them to our world, I think would be an absolute crime, because they've chosen our absence. I mean, they have worked for their entire existence, however in many eons that is, to stay away from people. And
yeah,
so I, I can understand the drive to want to substantiate it, because there's a lot of people working their lifetimes away trying to bring
right.
knowledge of this to people. But at the same time, I'm just really hesitant to want to see that substantiated, because I just know that that may prove to be the end of what remains of that species.
I know. It's kind of like with Pete's Dragon. Did you ever see that movie,
Oh, sure.
Pete's Dragons? Oh,
Yep.
the new one, that part when they catch that dragon,
Oh,
I'm always crying. I still cry
yeah.
every time I see it. So yeah, but I understand. I actually believe that that this that they have ways to spiritually walk through things. That's what I'm going with, and I think that that's how come they haven't been found yet, because that's what I'm hoping for in a way. I would be good if they could communicate or whatever, that's something like that. But part of me wants to keep them
Yeah.
free.
Yeah, I hope that you're right,
You
that
know?
in case that, because I really do believe they're out there.
Yeah.
I hope that would be true, that they could just phase out and not be trapped somehow, because I think again
Yeah.
that would be devastating.
It would be devastating.
Just be,
But
but
I do understand the desire to keep
yeah,
wanting to try to find them. I do. I
sure,
understand that.
yeah,
So
and I guess if it gets people out enjoying nature, then that's a good thing in and of itself. But
yeah.
yeah, I like that they're one step ahead, and I may be in the minority for that reason, but I do think that they're potentially a beautiful species. I mean, I've certainly heard enough horror stories about them through the years, but I think it's
I
just people
know.
misinterpreting what's going on in a lot of cases. So them and Dogman and so many other cryptids out there. So and it is, I guess it is what it is, right? It's kind
It
of
is what it is, definitely what it is.
a
You
cliche,
know,
but
it's like we have to keep them safe, but it's okay to keep looking for them. It's just part
yeah.
of the mystery.
Well,
So
yes,
Brent, are you having fun on this show?
I am, of
Will
course. Yeah.
you come back again?
Absolutely. I'll be here if you tell me when.
Okay, good. Well, I think that I'm going to go ahead and save the rest of our conversation for the next time. And the reason is, it looks like I'm having some sort of temperature issue going on with my camera.
Uh-oh.
I'm getting like these lights And I'm like, oh, okay, because you know what? It's kind of warm in here. So I'm thinking that before I actually blow this thing up, that maybe I better
I've got a lot more
sign
stories.
off after.
I've got enough to fill up another
I
episode.
know. So we'll have to hear the rest of it. That is one thing I do want to say. I love the stories, because the stories that you tell just brings me back to childhood of listening to someone read to me. So it's really, I love it. I love that part. And hey, I just thought of a great idea. So the next time when you come on, you could read a story.
Oh, sure. If you'd
You
like.
could pick you could pick a story and then read it on the show.
Okay.
On this show, on another show.
Sure.
That'd be cool, huh?
Absolutely. I just like talking. So if you've got time, I'll be here.
Okay, thank you so much. And so, is there anything else we can have you say? Do you want to say what the channels are, what your show is on, and get all that, so we can have that for everyone?
Sure. You can find the Paranormal Portal on YouTube at youtube.com/paranormal portal, and you can check out our podcast, which is not the same show. It's a different show almost completely. And you can find that on all the major platforms: iHeart, iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Castbox, and a gajillion more. Just look for Paranormal Portal wherever you find your podcasts, and we'll pop up, I'm sure. So you can also get in touch with us via Facebook by going to facebook.com/paranormal portal radio. You can reach out to me personally if you have experiences of your own and want to share them. I'd love to talk to you about them. And that is my email address is paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. So yeah, by all means, reach out and get involved.
Well, thank you so much, Brent. And Unveiling Mystery is so happy that Paranormal Portal came a visiting today.
Oh, well,
really is.
You do. You have an amazing energy, and it's very easy to talk to you, and I really enjoy our conversations. So it's absolutely my pleasure.
Thank you. Well, this one will air, I'm pretty sure, by Sunday. So you'll be up on my YouTube then, shining for everybody. And I look forward to our next conversation when you come back on, or hopefully maybe someday I'll get to go to the portal, the Paranormal Portal, and be there for a conversation.
Oh, you mean on the YouTube? Oh, okay, sure.
Oh, it would be great. I would love that.
All right.
That would be fun. I think you should have guest hosts all the time. I really like that guy you had the other day.
Oh, Shane.
And it was fun. It was like, oh, who's this guy? It's kind of neat to be able to how you interacted. I thought that was really cool. I liked it.
Oh, thank you.
I love your son and the other guy. What was that other guy's name? He's so nice too.
Don? Yeah.
Don. You always call him the big toe.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, toe. Oh, he's big toe. No, Don. Okay, yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today, Brent. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for letting me on. I had a great talk with you, and thank you for taking the time and making the time for me.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone who is listening to Unveiling Mystery. Till next time.
One of the shows that I done recently over on the Kev Baker Show, I was lucky to come into contact with today's guest via Bill Bean. And I had no idea just the depth of the story that we were about to scratch the surface on over on the Kev Baker Show. And in the back of my mind, I always knew that Mercedes would be joining us here today. We're finally here, we finally got you on. And Mercedes, it's great to talk to you again.
Hi!
To be
knocked down after you standing tall, just dust yourself off. It's no trouble at all. The superheroes always get back up when they fall. And they walk that walk and talk that talk. They toe the line, no, they don't stop. They keep on going, and no matter how hard it is, they they do what they need to do.
This is what I'm talking about already. You have already brought sunshine. That's vibrance, that's energy.
Here's my truth, here's my story. On my road to pain and glory. I know that demons wanna keep us down. They tell us lies that we're not good enough. They put thoughts in our minds that we should just give up. But I just put my gut suit on and I look up and I shine. Shine, shine. Your time. Shine, shine. If you're a spiritual warrior like me, well, I thank you all for your bravery, and I hope, yeah, I hope you come fly with me. Feels like I'm floating like a butterfly way up there in the clear blue sky. Faith, faith, strength, strength. Do what we need to do to be a better tree, be a better world. What a better world you and me. Get down on your knees every day and thank the good Lord when you pray. And I know you're gonna be okay when you do what you need to be a better you, a better me. What a better world it would be.
It has been an epic broadcast, Bill. There you go. There you go. These things are sent to try us, folks. And I tell you what, you couldn't get through this without a smile on your face and without being in warrior mode. Faith, strength, and courage. God bless.
Faith, faith, strength, strength.